I am glad you brought this up because these are actually common talking points floating around that are completely false. When you look at SA in particular, women are actually the biggest essayers or abusers of kids. Now there's different theories as to why. Some of it could be proximity if you just think of the amount of single parent led households, mother ran households, but nevertheless, if we really want to talk about SA, women are actually the biggest abusers of kids. And then when it comes to rates of SA between men and women, SA between men and women is actually surprisingly similar. It's just, it's not as popular to talk about among men and it hasn't been as well researched. But now there is more research behind it, and we are seeing that the rates are actually surprisingly similar. Now, when you talk about DV, the reality is a lot of DV is actually bi-directional, meaning men and women attacking each other. And then when it comes to who actually initiates violence, it is the women. Women are the ones who initiate violence in DV the majority of the time. And this is just not for black women. It is women of different races, black women, white women, Latino women. They actually initiate violence the majority of the time. And you actually want to know which couple tends to be the most violent? It's actually lesbians. Lesbians are actually currently reported to be some of the most violent relationships out there. So this idea that DV is always the men initiating DV towards women and that men are always the perpetrators and women are always the victims, it's just false. And then if we want to talk about being unalived, black men are unalived at such a higher number than black women. I mean, if you could look at the CDC, being unalived is within the top 10 the leaders of black men, but when it comes to black women, it does not even make it within the top 10. So really, being unalived, it's not an issue of just black women. It is a larger issue of the black community, but one that specifically harms black men. So again, I don't really like playing tit for tat. That's not my point, but it is important to understand that some of these things, some of these narratives that we are believing to try to paint this picture that black men are so horrible or whatever, they're based upon lies. And really what it's meant to do is to just drive unnecessary division that doesn't need to be there. And again, a lot of the times it's just based upon faulty information. And again, don't just believe me, check out the data. Check out domesticviolenceresearch.org. Check out the CDC. These are just a few sources that you can check, and you will clearly see already that a lot of these ideas just fall flat when you actually look at the data. Not trying to completely minimize the experience of black women or black men or whatever. It's not about minimizing anybody's experience, but it's about just being honest and making sure that when you are coming to a conclusion, it is based upon fact and it is not based upon narrative.